East and West give the vast range of his creative achievements. Perhaps the most astonishing aspect of the image of Tagore in the West is its narrowness. He is currently viewed as a great mystic from the West, an image with a putative message from the West, which some would welcome, others dislike, and still others find deeply boring. To a great extent, this Tagore was the West's own creation, part of its tradition of message seeking from the East, particularly from India, which, as Hegel put it, had existed for millennia in the imagination of the Europeans. Friedrich Schlegel, Schelling, Herder, and Schopenhauer only are a few of the thinkers who followed the same pattern. They theorized at first that India was a source of superior wisdom. Schopenhauer, at one stage, even argued that the New Testament must somehow be of Indian origin. This is attested by completely Indian ethics, which transforms morals into asceticism, its pessimism, and its avatar in the person of Christ. But then they rejected their own theories with great vehemence, sometimes blaming India for not living up to their unfounded expectations. We can imagine that Rabindranath's physical appearance, handsome, bearded, dressed in non-Western clothes, may to some extent have encouraged his being seen as a carrier of exotic wisdom. Here, Yasunari Kawabata, the first Japanese Nobel laureate in literature, treasured memories from his middle school days of this sage-like poet. His white hair flowed softly down both sides of his forehead. The tufts of his hair under the temples also were long like two beards, and linking up with the hair on his cheeks continued into his beard, so that he gave an impression to the boy I was then of ancient oriental wizard. The appearance would have been well suited to the selling of Tagore in the West as a quintessentially mystical poet, and it would have made it somewhat easier to pigeonhole him. Commenting on Rabindranath's appearance, Francis Cornford told William Rothenstein, "I can now imagine a powerful and gentle Christ, which I never could before." Beatrice Webb, who did not like Tagore and resented what she took to be his quite obvious dislike of all that the Webbs stand for, there is in fact little evidence that Tagore had given much thought to his subject and said that he was beautiful to look at, that and that his speech had the perfect intonation and slow chant-like moderation of the dramatic saint. Ezra Pound and W.E. Yeats, among others, first led the chorus of adoration in the Western appreciation of Tagore, and then soon moved to neglect and even shrill criticism. The contrast between Yeats' praise of his work in 1912, these lyrics display in their thought a world I have dreamed of my life long, the work of a supreme culture, and his denunciation in 1935, Damn Tagore, arose partly from the inability of Tagore's many-sided writings to fit into the narrow box in which Yeats wanted to place and keep him. Certainly, Tagore did write a huge amount and publish ceaselessly, even in English, sometimes in different English translation, but Yeats was also bothered. It is clear by the difficulty of fitting Tagore's later writings into the image Yeats had presented to the West. Tagore, he had said, was the product of a whole people, a whole civilization, immeasurably strange to us, yet we have met our own image, our heard Perhaps for the first time in literature, our voice as in a dream.